So hi, Welcome to Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with...
I'm Jeff from Her Head's on Fire.
And we're some questions today about their upcoming album, Strange Desires. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
Oh, I'm very, very excited. And I'm very, very proud of this album. All of us put a ton of work into it. And just really happy to get it out in the world this Friday and see what everybody thinks.
Hell yeah, the album fucking rocks.
It's so good.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course.
You already made me happy. I'm already excited.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Good start. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Well, the title is the title of the first song on side 2. Mm-hmm. I don't know. You would have to ask Joseph about that if it has any like specific meaning. I figured he just named the album after the song.
That's fair enough.
That's fair, yeah.
And the album, the cover art?
Jeff Cottle from Game Face is the one who came up with all the artwork for it, and he did the art for I think every release we've done so far. So I don't know if there's like an underlining theme, but there's definitely like, I think, an aesthetic that we all kind of been like into as far as like what he comes up with and what he pitches to us. So
gotcha. So is it just kind of like you guys have this very strong relationship with him, so you guys just kind of hand him the songs and you're like, do your best, and whatever he comes back with is kind of, what you go with?
Yeah, I mean, Joseph and Jeff go way back from when Joseph was in Garrison. They used to play with Game Face all the time back in the day, so they have a really great relationship. And he usually, I think with both the albums, he's just sent over a couple different ideas, and then we've picked the one that we like the best, and then he just rolls with that and puts it all together.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Gotcha. So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the album?
Oh, well, Rodrigo and I live in Chicago, and Joseph and Jeff live in New York. Mm-hmm. So that brings in its own challenges. Yeah. But with that, I mean, all of us have played in a lot of bands, and we kind of know what each other, we kind of know what we're doing when it comes to like songs. So the way because we've actually, we joke about this all the time, we've played way more shows than we've had actual band practices.
What the fuck?
Like, this is totally true. I think we probably have had 5 actual band practice.
Wow.
Oh my God. Like the entirety of the band?
The entirety of the band.
That's awesome.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. So, I mean, from a songwriting like standpoint, usually what happens is like I'll come up with a basic like song. I'll lay the guitar track down to a quick track. I'll send it to Jeff. Jeff will write some drums to it, send it back to me. I'll put some guitars, like some loose guitars to it in Pro Tools. I'll send that to Joseph. Joseph will write like his lyrics and his melodies to that. Sends that back to me. I import that into that. And then Rodrigo will come over to my house and then sort his bass around what Joseph's vocals are doing. And then that's a demo. And then we just move on until we assemble an album.
Oh wow, so everyone is involved in the demo making process. It isn't like you make one song, another person makes another song, and then you guys kind of compare. It's just everyone's involved.
Everyone's involved in like what their contribution is to it.
Gotcha.
Holy shit.
Which has worked out really well, and it's always like surprising because it's like, I'll write something sitting on my couch, I'm like, oh, that shit's cool, let me put it down. And then I kind of have like a loose idea of what I thought it would be in my head. Mm-hmm. And it always ends up different than what I thought, but in like the best way possible. And I think a lot of it just stems because I mean, we have a lot of trust for each other. You know what I mean? Like there's never like anything that I'm ever apprehensive about. I'm like, I know that like everybody's going to come up with something really cool, and it just works out. I told Joseph, I'm like, dude, it's like punk rock Voltron, man.
Yeah.
So from there, it's like when I say we've only had like maybe 5 practices, it's totally true. So like if there's a show, like the last show that we played in New York City, like Rodrigo and I hopped on a plane. There was no practice. We just showed up and then went to the show and played.
What?
and it was fine. Like I
That's
wasn't even worried about it.
that's like unheard of. That's fucking crazy.
It's weird. But I mean, it works for us. And I mean, and that's when it comes back to that underlining trust. Like, I'm not worried ever that anybody's not going to be rehearsed or like they're going to forget a part. It's like we all kind of, we're all in it together. We all know like what we're bringing to it, and there's a lot of comfort in that too. You know what I mean? It's like to not have to worry about that stuff is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, I guess it's unique, but I mean that's what makes the band the sum of its parts.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
So you guys, we've established you have this distance between you, and the demoing process is very remote. Are you guys able to like physically get in a studio when you record, or is that remote as well?
So we get in the studio, but I'll try to do the abridged version of the 2 albums because it's nuts, right?
Okay.
So we started the band at the end of 2019, right before the pandemic hit.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, dude, flights were hella cheap. So it was like, oh, I can fly out to New York once or twice a month. This is no brainer. And we were able to like, get together and like play, blah, blah, blah. And then pandemic hit and just sidelined everything. And then that's where this process that we've done, exchanging ideas via invisible waves kind of came into play. So by the time, you could kind of loosely start getting in a room together, we'd already gotten the demos together for the first record. But, it was still COVID. So I'm a recording engineer, like I'm doing air quotes, my day job.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a studio in Chicago that I work out of called Echo Mill. And so what ended up happening with the first record was that Jeff flew out here, and me, Jeff, and Rodrigo went to the studio, social distanced, separate rooms, basically, mask on and shit.
Mm.
And we got the drums and the bass down together because it's really important to me when I'm making a record for any band that the drums and the bass play together when you're tracking. Because I don't care if you're playing to a metronome or not, the rhythm section is going to move. And I just feel like even like those things need to swing together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was imperative to me going into making the first record that at least the drums and the bass got recorded together. So we got that done. And then I took all that stuff up to my friend Mark Hudson's studio in Michigan so I could record guitars because I just didn't want to have to engineer and play guitar at the same time.
That makes sense.
But, it was the same kind of thing where it's like he's got a studio on this gorgeous studio called Rancho Recorder out in the middle of nowhere, Michigan. And so it's just him and I with masks, 40 feet apart from each other. It's like, all right, at least I'm not having to push the buttons. I can just play guitar.
Yeah.
So I got all the guitars done with him, brought it back to Chicago, rented out a studio called the Buddy Project in Queens. And then I flew out to New York, and Joseph met me at that studio in separate rooms, recorded, and we got his vocals done. I mean, he was fucking prepared too. We did all the basically all the vocals for that album were done in a day and a half.
God damn.
Wow.
I was fucking floored. I mean, I've always been a fan of Joseph singing, and he's just fucking fantastic. But I was like, we're going to get this record done in a day. This is like unheard of from a vocal standpoint. He just fucking nailed it. So once that happened, then I brought everything back here and mixed it in Chicago.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess technically we were kind of in the studio all together, but not the 4 of us all at once. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And was that like, obviously there wasn't a pandemic this time around for the next record, but or this record, but was it a similar process where it was a lot of like getting together in rooms but everybody was still separate?
Well, I mean, we tracked this, I think it was last September when we recorded everything. So, we're more or less past those kind of constraints. But we were like, okay, we at least got to try to all be in the same place. So Joseph and Jeff were able to fly out here, but it was funny. So this time, like me, Joseph, and me, Jeff, and Rodrigo were all able to record together at the same time. But Jeff ended up having to leave before Joseph got here. so
Oh.
so he flew back to to New York, literally the day that Joseph arrived from New York.
Oh.
But at least three of us in some capacity were always in the studio together. And I'm not going to say that it made for like a more cohesive recording experience, but there was moments to the fact that we could actually be in the control room all together, sitting there and listening and throwing ideas around that really sparked a lot of magic. And I think it was really important for this record.
Absolutely. Hell yeah. Well,
it's like the first record, I feel like you can feel the tension in it. And I love those kind of tensions because they make for great recordings.
Yeah.
They make things feel exciting, so I don't think that the first album would be the same if it wasn't recorded under the conditions that it was in. But it was nice to have a little bit of like room this time.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully LP3, everybody's finally in a room together. All four of you can get together and make the magic.
I've already got like almost the entire LP3 written. So.
Damn. Oh my goodness.
I write a lot.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So what song took longest to write off the album, and which one is your personal favorite?
Ooh, that's funny. My favorite song is the one that took about 5 minutes to write.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the song "Why Are We Alone," that's my favorite song on the record. It's actually one of my favorite songs that I think that I've written. There was just sometimes songs just materialize in like such an odd way like that, and it just kind of burst out. You know what I mean? And I was so excited about it that I remember I called Joseph. I'm like, dude, I have this new song. I'm so fucking stoked on it. He's like, well, yeah, great. I can't wait to hear it. I'm like, no, we got to work on it. He's like, well, yeah, I can't wait to hear it. He's like, well, I'm not going to just work on vocals to like a shitty recorded guitar track. I literally like put some makeshift drums together in Pro Tools and made like a demo, like on my own, like that afternoon. And I sent it to him. I'm like, here's how the song should go. And then I swear to God, it was like 15 minutes later, he sent me back a vocal track. He's like, dude, it's done. And I'm like, what? And he sent it back, and I was just absolutely floored. I'm like, I could not believe like how that song just came bursting out and how it came together so quickly. And then like, it's a fucking intense song. I mean, it's simple, but it's fucking emotional.
Yeah.
And that song just gets me. It's like anytime we've played it so far, I'm just like, this is my fucking jam.
Fuck yeah.
Damn right.
Hell yeah.
I think the song that was the hardest to write is the song "The Rain," the last song on the record. And that one's a difficult one for me. And it wasn't something that I necessarily wanted to finish, to be honest. It like a good friend of mine, my friend Garrett, he passed away pretty suddenly. And it was a blow to like everybody. And he's one of my favorite people. And it just fucking crushed me, man. Still fucking kills me to this day. And it's already been like 3 years this November.
Damn.
It's wild. But so I kind of started writing that song as like a way to kind of just deal with those feelings, And so I'd send it to Joseph, like, I was like, yeah, I wrote this song, I wrote it kind of for Garrett. I don't know if I want to do anything with it. And Joseph was just like really like moved by it. And Joseph's father had passed away around like the same time that Garrett had. And so he was dealing with his own, emotions and trying to navigate feelings. And he knew why I had written that song. And he's like, I'm going to write the words to this about my father. And it's kind of going to be a thing for both these people that we lost, that we loved. And I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm in then.
Yeah. And
so I really didn't know how it was going to come together because it's not structured conventionally, It's not like, here's the verse, here's the chorus, here's the bridge, there's the chorus, yay. It's like, it's a little backwards in the way that it's written. And so I sent the guitars to Jeff, and he completely came up with drums like way different than I thought I could ever picture it, and in the best way possible. I was like, because I didn't even like the way that the song intros. I never even pictured that as an intro. Like I just thought it was going to be like all in.
Yeah.
And so like it really sets the tone. And so then, Joseph sent over like vocal demos, and I was floored by him as per usual. And when Rodrigo came over to put bass down to it, the way that he had written the bass to it, it almost like is counterintuitive to where the guitars are going.
Mm-hmm.
But it just like fits like this puzzle. Like if I listen to it and I focus in on what everybody's doing, I don't feel like everybody's like really following each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like everybody's playing something different, but for some reason it just locks in this really great way. And I knew it was something special, and I was like, okay, yeah, this has to be on the record.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we got in the studio and started recording it, sorry if I'm going long on this
You're
one.
good.
No, you're good. Keep going.
We started putting things together, and Jason Arducci, who helped produce the record, when he sent over notes for things, he's like, I feel like there could be strings in this song. And I was like, wow, I never pictured that, but okay. And my friend Gordon, who plays with Jay Robbins, like he's a cellist, and I was like, hey, can you put some strings to this song? Here's what it's about, just so you have an idea. And he's like, I got you. And so I sent him the song, and he threw strings down to it and sent the tracks back, and so then like, okay, I'm like, wow, we're really onto something with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like watching it fully materialize in the studio. And then, I was like, I borrowed the 12 string to add some stuff to another song. And there was this moment where like listening back to stuff, and Rodrigo was just sitting on the couch, and he's like, I need the 12 string. I'm like, what? He's like, let me see it. And he just goes into the big live room at the studio and just starts messing with something. He's like, hit record. And he just plays this line on the 12 string out of nowhere. And it just like solidified this shit.
Damn.
And I was like, it just was beyond what I could have imagined. And so, the intro for the song is, it's a long buildup of just basically that guitar playing and the drums kind of keeping count. And, I'd been thinking about Garrett a lot when we were in the studio putting this together. And I was thinking about how, I'm never going to get to hear his voice again and all this stuff. And I remembered I had like, sorry, I'm getting a little choked up about this.
It's okay.
I had like some voicemails saved of him before he passed away. And I was like, I think I'm gonna put 2 of these at the beginning of this song. I'm gonna put them subtly in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like texture, kind of like Jawbreaker shit, right? Like they used to do like songs that have like spoken word shit in the background while everything's making a bunch of noise.
Yeah.
And so like I flew in these couple voicemails I had of Garrett like saying like Happy Father's Day and like I love you, bro, and all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I set them in there, and everybody else had went to go out to lunch. And when everyone came back, I'm like, you want to hear this stuff? I don't know if you guys do. And everyone's like, yeah, play it. And so I just ran it from the top, just line level through the console. And I mean, you could feel it in the room, like listening to this song, like all the pieces in place, the voice sample, the 12 string, the strings. And I remember I kind of looked at everybody once it was done, and it was just fucking quiet. And like, you could fucking feel it in the room.
Yeah.
And Rodrigo, he's so fucked. It was like the way to cut through the fucking emotions. He like we're all just kind of sitting there quiet, just like having our own moments. And then Rodrigo's like out of nowhere just goes, "This is what it sounds like when punks cry." And we all just burst out fucking laughing. And I was like, what a fucking moment. But I just knew that we had something special with it.
Yeah.
That it was worth going through everything to put that song together. And I'm glad I didn't let my apprehension get the best of me with it.
Yeah, that's
sure. And now kind of having that song for people to listen to. It's outside of your circle. Do you have any anxiety kind of sharing something that deeply personal?
Well, I mean, you know how songs go. It's like, you know, the meaning is whatever anybody gleams out of it, like however it like affects their life, you know. I don't expect anybody to, I mean, well, now people will probably pick up on what the song's about or where it came from.
Yeah.
But it's like I never looked at it like somebody's gonna be like, is that Garrett from Planes at the beginning? You know, it's
Yeah.
like, or like, wow, what is this? Like, is this song about Joseph's dad? Like, I never thought anything like that. It was more just to like try to put this composition that meant a lot to us together in a way that honored where like the ideas came from, and you know, maybe it would affect somebody, or maybe it might add something to somebody's day. You know,
Yeah,
Well,
gotcha.
I kind of feel like, you know, if somebody takes something away from it and it makes them feel something within their daily lives, then I mean, then you really accomplished something with the song you've written.
absolutely.
100%.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss, but I'm glad that you were able to, you know, build a piece of art out of it and like make light of it and kind of honor him in your own way, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll never forget Rodrigo saying that, and in the back of my head, it's like I know Garrett would have fucking lost his shit hearing something like that too. So
Yeah.
But it was like the most emotional moment turned into the funniest fucking thing. I mean, we must have laughed for like 10 minutes.
That's good.
That's good.
That's fucking
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did the track list for your album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer? Just shuffle it around and see what fits? What was that process like?
No, I mean, nothing was really written in sequence. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like, you know, the songs just kind of come how the songs come. Like usually it's like I don't even know what the titles are. I'm like, this is song 3 because it's the third song I wrote in this sequence of songs, you know?
Yeah.
But I think once like everything was together and we heard the mixes, like it was, we kind of were all on the same page as to what the sequence should be, you know? I mean, when I was like the song Cuts, that where it kind of starts with the acoustic and just comes in slamming, I was like, I think that's got to be first. Everyone's like, oh yeah, that's definitely the first song. So
Yeah.
you know, like it wasn't too hard to put everything in order.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Gotcha. So would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating this record?
The way I write song, like it's just, I don't like niche write or anything like that. There's never like, I need to write a fast song, I need to write a slow song. Like the ideas just kind of materialize how they do. And it's literally like, usually I just kind of sit around and play guitar. And if I stumble onto something that's kind of cool, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I kind of just try to see it through, you know, and then be like, well, yeah, that's kind of rad. All right, I think that's a song. Let's see, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't like. I honestly, it's like that song, "The Rain," is probably like. I mean, maybe throughout bands that I've been in over the years, there's been songs that I've written out of like some kind of like reaction to something, but that's really the only song that's coming to mind that I feel like that was the case, you know?
Yeah.
So usually it's just like fucking around, and if something sounds cool, I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Exactly. It keeps
Makes
it
sense.
fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to write every day, even if I throw shit away. It's like I try to keep that thing going, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, even if it's like dumb shit and I'm like, oh, this sucks, but it's like, at least I fucked around and came up with something,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah.
I just feel like if you lose that creative spark, it's really hard to get it back, you know? It's like, and I mean, if you're just constantly writing and fucking around, it also sure as hell like deters writer's block, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So since you're writing every day, like what determines a song that you're going to send to the band versus one that you're going to throw away?
It's just a vibe. Like if I think I have a pretty good gauge if something's not going to make the cut or not, you know what I mean? Like there's been plenty of things that I've come up with that I'm like, yeah, this is fun, but it doesn't feel like a song. Like I just feel like I know, like if something strikes me, I'm like, yeah, okay, this is it. This is good, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously, it making the actual record is determined on what everybody else brings to it, you know? I mean, there's a few, like, there's a song that didn't make the record, this last record, that I was like, this is a fucking ripper, and Joseph's like, nope. I'm like,
Damn.
oh, okay.
All
He's
right,
like,
man.
no. I was like, but I think you're wrong. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, all right, but I trust him.
Yeah.
So,
Damn.
it's like, I'm not, it's like everybody, I feel like everybody needs to be happy. Like, I don't think there's like one, it's like if one dude was bummed out, I would be bummed out.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
not worth it,
Yeah, fair enough.
Fair.
So how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should you do it in the car with friends, in dark with headphones on? Is workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
Fucking on a turntable and turn that shit up
Fuck
Damn
yeah.
right.
on
yeah.
a fucking stereo system.
Love it.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
hell yeah.
we all love records still, right? I
Yeah.
think.
I mean, I can
Yeah.
I can tell you like them. You got plenty behind you.
Oh yeah, I'm a dork.
Yeah, you got a couple.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm like, I'm the dude that has to have like every variant of a record I put out,
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm like, would argue with Joseph. I'm like, I need every version of this record. He's like, well, we have these two, but those other ones go to this. And I'm like, I need every one.
Like you have to
Right.
get you have to get your hands on them for me. I don't care how you do it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
totally.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So this one should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Cathartic,
Okay.
like energetic, like I don't all encompassing.
That's
Ooh,
good.
Okay.
Hell
Fuck
yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
And in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have going through the album?
I mean, it kind of goes back to what I was saying a little bit ago. Any record that I'm ever a part of, like, I just hope it adds something to somebody's life. I mean, life's messy and hard and difficult and joyous and happy. And I just hope that, when someone listens to this record, it makes them feel the same kind of things that I feel when I listen to records that I grew up with, or like records that I hear now,
Mhm.
like that it adds something to your day.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I love that. All right. So, are you able to touch on any particularly challenging or standout moments during the creation of this album, positive or negative?
I feel like we had everything pretty together by the time we all converged on the studio. So, I mean, I think there's difficulties in trying to assemble music, through emails and Dropbox and shit.
Mhm.
But I think it also, it puts a limitation on things, right?
Mhm.
It's like it's 24 track mentality. Like you got this much to work with. How do you work with it within these confines? Because I think a lot of the ways that modern records work, and people's ability to have like, equipment to do shit at their house, you can just spin out and spend months and months going down things and tweaking and all this stuff. And I'm not saying that there isn't benefit to that kind of deep dive, but I also think that there's the biggest benefit in capturing a performance and presenting it is within capturing that performance in that moment, capturing those special fucking moments.
Mhm.
And not taking the piss out of something, just let it be. It's
Yeah.
good, it's good.
Yeah,
Damn right.
absolutely. Hell yeah. So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
Combos, pizzeria.
Oh, damn right. Hell yeah. I
Okay.
fucking love those. I love those.
that
And,
or Cool Ranch Doritos.
Oh,
So
fuck.
bad.
Classic. Classic.
Yeah.
Mhm. Damn right. And on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be and why?
Oh, that's chalo masala.
Okay.
Because we're all a little spicy, and I guess. And also, I'm a vegetarian, so I don't know. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Fuck yeah.
And for the last couple questions, going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last
Dre on
meal
the
be with a drink?
What's my last meal with a drink?
Yeah.
Ooh, fuck. Cacio e pepe
Nice.
with
Okay.
a fucking big ass glass of Chianti.
yeah.
Solid. Solid as
Yeah.
hell,
I
yeah.
mean, if it's the last one, I might as well go out hard.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Why the fuck not? Yeah. And if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Like fictional in what aspect?
Fictional, like movie, comic, book, shit like
Okay.
that.
Oh, that's interesting. Raiders of the Lost Ark, 'cause I like adventure.
Oh, hell yeah. I
Nice.
fuck with it.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I've done I've asked the last question. Every single person that we've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Green.
Nice.
Specific shade of green?
I like more of a dark green, like an army green kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I like
Good
bright
color.
color. I don't like bright colors.
Yeah.
That's fair
Yeah,
enough.
you would
That's
hate
not
my
emo
favorite
either.
color.
Just, that's just me.
Yeah.
Like, dude, he's so dark. Nah, that's just like I like dark colors.
Dark and broody.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
So as I said, that's all the questions you have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
I just, I hope people take the time to check out this record, and we're trying to tour a little bit, and I hope that if we're playing anywhere near you and you like the music, come out and sing along.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Sal. It's been Jeff from Her Head's on Fire, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.